Hey you guys, this is Jess with Sourceful Journey, back with another video. So this particular video, I wanted to focus on the idea of why one should not fall for the false narrative. Believe it or not, even when it comes down to our leaders, such as our political leaders, there's some good apples in the bunch as well. I truly honestly feel not all of them are spoiled fruit. So without further ado, we're gonna go ahead and jump right in. As you guys are already aware, I am one that's more on the conservative side of the spectrum when it comes to politics. So I do actually support, in this case, Donald John Trump Sr. Been an avid supporter of him for quite some time now. After doing some research of my own over the years, and I came to the realization, I really feel that this guy is truly one that tends to follow the pious life when it comes to the betterment of, society, when it comes to the nation overall. Now, what's interesting is because, outside of all the other things, the cases that were, against him and that are currently against him at the moment, that's neither here or there in terms of my thought process of what I'm getting ready to go into with you guys right now. I really want to focus on the bigger picture when it comes to his love for the people, in this case in particular, the American people. I remember, I don't know if you guys remember the show, was it The Apprentice? I thought the show was like hilarious, but it was really good. It was a really phenomenal show. And you have to admit the ratings were up at that time when he was on the show, him and the family. And I remember when I first got wind that he was pulling away from it and he was going to go into running in the political space. You're like, darn it, the show's not going to be the same. Like, why? Like, no, go back to the show. But that was me being selfish, I guess. I was like, because it was a darn good show. I was always ready up and going to look for changing the station to Channel 5 right away. When I knew it was getting ready to come on, I was on it like clockwork, as the saying goes. But it was a darn good show, I'll give him that. But it kind of dipped off when he left, so at that point I was like, oh, forget it. I'm not watching this crap anymore. But anyhow, I digress. But one thing I can say is that when he got into the political space, and mind you, I knew he did not have like an inkling of any political history, or he has never ran for a political position before. I did some digging, some research in terms of his background, and I saw a few videos from like over a decade ago where we had conversations with media people, and they would always ask him, could you ever see yourself running for president or running for a political position? And oftentimes he would humbly push away the idea or make it seem like he was not sure. And it's very telling when you can look at a potential candidate and they do that, because if they ever did decide to take it on, that it wouldn't be with ill intent. I just find it that those who are so hungry to take on certain political roles, if you watch how they move, if you will, you can kind of tell who's truly in it for the people and who truly is not. In my opinion, I think the reason why a lot of people were pushing for him or constantly asking him that question early on, if he could ever consider himself running for president or some other political position, I think the reason why is because deeply within, they knew that this man had the characteristics of what would truly make a phenomenal political figure, whether he did run for president or not. And it shows. When it comes to the business side of the spectrum, hands down, he's a genius. I would like someone to show me otherwise. Because, and then it's kind of funny because, and I actually have a business degree in management myself, a master's, and yet you know, looking at his approach when it comes to, you know, his past business dealings. Let's just put it that way. He's hands down a genius. You could tell he studied it to a T and applied it accordingly. This is where that whole notion of, you could say he was truly playing chess, not checkers. Fast forward. Now that he's in this political arena, and even when he was still holding office, you can't help but wonder, why were so many onlookers, why were they all in some shape, form, or fashion attacking him, trying to find ways to take him down? It's because, in my opinion, and just based on my own analysis, they knew that this guy had a calling on his life. We all know he has a calling on his life. Even those of us who are in the spiritual sect, we know, we see it. When I say see it, I'm not saying see it with your natural eye. We see it on a deeper scale, we know. This one's different, in a good way, to be quite honest. I remember, I think it was sometime like early last year, 2022. I was like, what month was that? Because I saved a note about it. I actually wrote a note on it. I'm like, I couldn't believe my eyes. I was like, okay. The spiritual space is making it known that this one is different. I remember I was riding on the train heading home, and I was watching him give a speech. I'm talking about Donald Trump Sr. I was watching him give a speech. I don't know who was with the NRA. I think it was the NRA, because I actually wrote a note on this in my own personal notes, and I kept a screenshot of it, but I couldn't believe my eyes. I think I made a post on this. I did actually make a post on this. Now that I think about it, it was on Truth Social before they decided to ban my page. I made a statement about how, I'm paraphrasing, but I think I said something along the lines, I don't think Donald Trump Sr. realizes how spiritually protected he is as well. Because I remember when I was watching it, it sent chills down my spine. He was up there talking, but there were so many different like orbs and things flying around him. And they were like moving quick. I'm like, oh crap. So me seeing it, I'm like, I'm thinking like, does anybody else see this, or is it just me? Like, mind you, again, I'm not one that's really a drinker. I don't do the substances, any type of medicinal solutions, really, like, that could fog one's vision, not clog. But, you know, I'm clear as a whistle, kind of like how I am now with you guys on here, very sane. But I remember what I saw, because I just couldn't believe it. I'm like, wow, that is something else. And a lot of times, a lot of us who are in this space, when we put up our videos, we'll call it out, like, oh, I saw that orb that flew right past you. Or, oh my gosh, there's several of them, like, you know, flying around you. It's because they're making their presence known for a reason, especially for those who could actually see it with their own eyes, like, i.e. like myself in this case. You know, those who have a different type of vision, if you will. It was meant for us to see it, and possibly meant for us to talk about it, which is why I'm choosing to talk about it now. I remember I almost cried when I saw that. I'm like, wow. It was beautiful. It was beautiful. And I'm gonna actually see if I can find that video. I think he was talking about, he was having a speech at it was the NRA. I keep thinking it was the NRA. It was earlier last year. So if any of you decide to ever go look up a video, I'm pretty sure it was the NRA. It was early 2022. I think around, I think between like the months of, between like April and July. Yeah, April and July. I do remember that much, 2022. Take some time out to go look at the videos of any speeches he did and tell me what you guys see. But I'm pretty sure it was the NRA speech. I sound like a tape recorder saying this, but I just want to make sure I'm emphasizing that. Take a look at that one in particular. Some of you may see it, and there's some of you who may not see it. But those of us who were able to pick up on it, if there were any other people who were able to see it, just know it's a beautiful thing to witness, actually. I don't know about you guys, I always get so excited when I see those type of things in videos, or if I see them even in my own videos. A lot of things that we tend to encounter or experience in our day-to-day where you feel certain like energies around you, or you feel like a certain breeze go by you, or you'll feel something, as I mentioned in one of my first videos, experiences where you may feel something brushing up against your skin or your hair. It's more of a reminder to self, but also a reminder to those who may be looking, especially if we're on a video. It's more of a reminder to them that we're here, It's not to scare people, it's more so to let you know that we're truly not alone. So I don't think he really knows it. I don't know. I've always wondered that. And I'm so taken aback on it because I remember he made a post. I think I saved a screenshot of it. I couldn't believe what I was reading. He said something along the lines about being clairvoyant. I had to do a double take. I'm like, what? Like, wait, no. That did not just happen. Like, did he really just say that? So what's interesting is because of the fact that I noticed that no other political figure ever made such a bold statement like that. Not that I'm aware of. Even down to Reagan. Even down to Nixon. Go a step further. Even down to Eisenhower. I'm just thinking about all the speeches I may have read or listened to. And mind you guys, one of my degree studies is in political science, so I'm just thinking back. I don't think I've ever seen any other political figure in the history of our nation make such a bold statement, such as that. He truly goes against the grain. I think that's why he has such a major respect from all of us. And I'm just trying to think. I truly don't think no one has done that but him. And it makes you laugh. It's like, wow. But for some of us who are in the spiritual space to know that there's someone in that particular arena who is obviously aware of self, to be bold enough to make a statement like that, I think that's very telling within itself. And you have to ask yourself, why? Like, why are more leaders, I'm using that loosely, because it takes more than just holding the title to truly be one that is a leader. Action needs to follow with it as well. Why are leaders not being more vocal about it? I mean, we know it's here. What else do you think is running these meat suits? It's a spirit, it's spiritual. And why not embracing it? I say all that to say the story time about that speech in reference to the speech he made last year when I saw the spiritual energy around him. And I just saw one that flew by me just a moment ago. I just saw a word. That's funny. It's beautiful when they make their presence known, not only in your own personal space, when you're able to feel it and pick up on it, but when you're able to actually see it amongst others. And they circle around, excuse me, just had a tongue twister. They make their presence known around certain individuals because it's a certain shielding. it's a certain shielding, but it's a certain reminder to the onlookers that they are always here with us. And a lot of the reasons why they make their presence known around some of us in more of a bolder approach, if you will, is because some of us have a certain calling on our life that requires it. And if anyone tries to make the wrong move, you might not want to do it, because that might be your last move. And I said what I said. See, people need to understand that any type of physical harm you try to, bestow onto one who has a calling on their life, you probably only get just so far with it. You probably won't even get a chance to really touch them, because they're going to always be notified in advance. But the ramifications that to follow. See, people think the physical is the part that holds the power. Anything that's done physically is what holds the power. Fail to realize that what's the driving force behind the physical action is the spiritual, which in essence, that technically means the spiritual side trumps anything that's done in the physical, because the spiritual side is what's running what happens in the physical, if that makes sense. You might need to play this part back again to grasp what I just said, or I'll just repeat it. Physical, spiritual. Which side holds the most power? Who has more of the control? I'm seeing the orbs fly on my side here. So I'm getting ready to hit onto something really quick here for you guys. That's a sign. I need to go ahead and say this. Physical, spiritual. Which side holds the most weight? Which side controls the reins in this situation? Hands down, it is spiritual, because spiritual is what in turn is causing the physical part to make moves. Spiritual, of course, as we all know, is good and bad. There's good and bad in everything. It's all about intent, what one's intentions are when it comes to that side of the spectrum. So when it's all said and done, again, the spiritual is what runs the show. So if anyone is to try to bestow any type of harm on one that has a calling on their life, i.e., the 144, regardless of the titles, I always say the various titles because there's so many of them, there's such a plethora. But if anyone is to try to inflict any harm on these individuals because of what they're called to do, and they're not doing anything to harm anyone, but wanting to help move the collective forward in a positive approach, the spiritual is going to step in, and they're going to take over. They're going to step in such a very harsh way, to be exact, to make it so that you understand the ramifications of what you've done. So that's why I always like to encourage that people to not do that, because you don't know what type of can of worms you're opening if you decide to do so. And you can't say you were not warned. So in closing, that's why with me, even with all this going on with this whole Truth Social fiasco, because it is a fiasco when you can cancel, you can ban a person's page for sharing spiritually inclined content that's not in any way being invasive or offensive towards any particular group of individuals. When you can do that, that says a lot about you and your character. So even with all that being said, my level of respect, my level of support, and just acknowledgement. I'm trying to think of all the words. And I just saw a crow. I knew they were going to start coming out. Yeah, I've seen all of them today. My level of honor and respect, support, to put it plainly, when it comes to Donald Trump Sr. is still there. we need more individuals like him in this space, in this political space, especially because you're talking about, well, not only on a national scale, but on a global scale, meaning in other areas, in other countries as well. Just imagine the type of world it would be if we had more honest individuals like that, you know, that are running things. You know, it just, it would be a beautiful sight to see. What are you guys' thoughts about all this? And again, definitely take a look at the video. I'm kind of curious to know who else might end up seeing what I came across in that video. I'm pretty sure it was the NRA video for the national, well, what was it, NRA? Yeah, I think it's the NRA. It was from last year. It was like between the months of April to July, somewhere in there when he went to that gathering. It was 2022. If you look at those videos, there's one in particular, and I'm pretty sure it was that one, if I remember correctly. Take a look at it, tell me what you see. Be interesting to know who else notices the spiritual glory around him as he's giving his speech. Let's put it that way. I think, for me personally, outside of the research I did in terms of this guy, you know, to really get a good gauge, like, could he truly be the one, or one of the ones to help change it all when it comes to the political space? That alone kind of closed up my investigation. Jokingly speaking, I'm not investigating guy in any way like that, but you know, that sounds kind of far-fetched. You know, some people are like that. I'm not, but I like to know who I'm dealing with before I fill in that bubble when it's time for election. But yeah, that confirmed it for me. Like, okay, he's different. So be interested in you guys' thoughts. Definitely don't forget to like, comment, and share. Also, you know, don't hesitate to leave your comments in the comment section below, or continue to send messages on my other platforms or emails. Be good to hear from you guys, to hear what your thoughts are. Consultations are still open, so if it is something that is of interest to you, definitely don't hesitate to take advantage. You can send me your appropriate details and I can then schedule you in. I'm actually going to block off Thursday and Friday of this upcoming week. So I'm going to block those days off because I will not be taking consultations. I have some other things I'm working on. But for the other days, definitely take advantage. But as always, I'm definitely sending you guys with love and light. And I will see you in the next video. Have a good one, you guys.